What's up, party people? I'm Leroy. That's Michael. This is the We Trine channel on Nerdy by Nature Productions. We're taping this because my life is chaos, and I don't know if my children would allow for me to do this live on Saturday. So it's the little one, Owen, is finally going to preschool, and he's been having a hard time with it. So uh, tomorrow we're going to try to reset, you know, and I don't know. That one just went to sleep maybe an hour ago.
Hmm.
So if you know what time we're taping this, you can only imagine. And I fell asleep.
Mhm.
So he came and woke me up and was like, Daddy, I want some milk. And I'm like, why are you still awake? So yeah. So Michael, what are we talking about, man?
Yeah, we got a potpourri of stuff. We got Summer Games Fest. We got HBO Max falling apart. Warner Brothers falling apart. We're coming together, doing something. I don't know.
Yep.
David Zaslav has a new plan that's going to save the company money. I don't know.
That
All
dude,
kinds of stuff,
man.
man.
It must be nice to fail up.
Yeah, I mean, because it's weird. I guess we can start where we can start with David Zaslav, but since he's and I don't know people in the chat who follow this better. Since he's been the head of Warner Brothers, I don't feel like there have been any wins for Warner Brothers. But he's
Uh,
still
so
he's still there. But how long has he
so
been like head of Warner Brothers? 2
so
years?
here's the thing. Warner Brothers Discovery is the new company that was spun out after. So Warner Brothers has been. I'm trying to find a way to explain this to people who may not have been paying attention, and I'm trying and they try to get it right. Warner Brothers used to be paired with a bunch of different companies. Remember, it used to be
AOL.
Time Warner Media, then it
Yeah,
was it
AOL
was
Time Warner.
AOL, it was and the last big conglomerate that Warner Brothers was a part of was AT&T. AT&T had acquired Warner Brothers, and all of its uh, streaming platform, movie studio, and the television studio. AT&T realized that it was not as profitable as they thought it was going to be to own a production house movie studio streaming service. Now, I was watching Pablo Torre Finds Out, which is a very good podcast, by the way. Um, if we did this with some money, I would really love to do it like Pablo does it, or maybe some other shows that we've seen. Pablo spoke with David Sampson, who used to run the Tampa Bay Rays, and John Skipper. Now, John Skipper, which should be, for those of you who are sports fans and follows ESPN, John Skipper ran ESPN during its heyday. So John Skipper was the guy who signed all the rights deals for MLB, NFL. Like he's the one who made ESPN, amongst other people, but he's the name that is closely associated with it. They on their podcast they talked about how all these different mergers, Warner Brothers was sold by AT&T or split from AT&T, and then they merged with Warner Brother with the Discovery and became Warner Brothers Discovery. So all of the TLC, Chip and Joanne, all that stuff merged into one company. What a lot of people fail to remember is when Warner Brothers was owned by A&T, part of the reason A&T thought it was a very good idea was, if you remember, ISPs, internet service providers, were trying to get rid of what am the term I'm looking for, the not the fairness doctrine, but with internet. Remember, they were
Net
trying to.
neutrality?
Yes, thank you. It was
Uh-huh.
right there at the tip of my tongue. But remember, they were trying to get rid of net neutrality so that they could throttle the internet for whoever service you were on. So if you weren't on AT&T, they would throttle streaming services from Netflix, from Peacock, and all those all those streaming services back then. So AT&T thought it was beneficial to own a streaming company so that they could be like, here's a streaming company for you, and you get full speed. Well, that didn't necessarily work out. A lot of people forget that. So then the company was spun off. David Zaslav was put in charge of Warner Brothers Discovery when it became its own entity.
Hmm.
That's when it went through HBO Go, HBO Max, first day I mean, all the different iterations that Warner Brothers Discovery has just basically been stepping on rakes. We thought Microsoft stepped on rakes. No one has stepped on more rakes than Warner Brothers Discovery in the last 3-4 years. Um, so now we're left with David Zaslav and the CFO splitting Warner Brothers Discovery into two separate entities. That's the plan.
Mhm.
The streaming service and HBO and the movie studio would go one direction, and the cable service and the cable channels would go and be another company. And if you read the articles and the trades, they believe the reason why this is done is so that the brand HBO and Warner Brothers could survive without the weight of traditional television channels. And
So
it
they want
makes
the
go
brand
ahead.
HBO, even though he
Say
said let's
what?
get rid of. He wants to keep HBO, even though he had said earlier, let's drop HBO from HBO Max.
Well, part of the thinking is that HBO was one of just several content things in their portfolio. And I guess they realized that was fucking stupid. That the brand is HBO. The brand is Warner Brothers. And so now they are going to spin two different companies out of one. And the if you listen to the earnings or the call from the CFO who's now going to be running one company, the question was asked, are you doing this to basically merge with another company, make it easier for you guys to be bought? And he said, we're not ruling that out. So right now you have two separate companies, one the HBO side and the movie side and the streaming service, and on the other side the traditional TNT, TBS televisions companies. So the question becomes, hold on, let me mute the TV. I was playing Destiny after watching Game Four and the Red Sox game.
Hmm.
So I said all to say that's where we are right now with these two companies. Now it hasn't happened yet. It's going to take government approval. Um, so that's where we are with David Zasloff and our good friend running this wonderful company into the ground.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, excuse me. I think it's so weird because I looked it up. So it looks like he kind of took. He had been running Discovery since 19. Dang, I just looked it up and I forgot it. But anyway, when they merged with Warner Brothers, that was
Yes.
in 2002 or
Yes.
2022. So about 3 years he's been the CEO so far,
Hmm.
and I feel like there have been no big wins under him. Yet he still gets to keep his job, and I don't know at
I
what point the board of directors are like, "Hey, we need to get rid of you."
So it's funny you mention that because recently there was this vote to not give him his compensation package. Um, so hold on, I'm gonna now it's largely ceremonial. Um, so hold on, I'm looking up the article.
Hmm.
Because basically what happened was he has a pay package of $52 million, 51.9 million. CNN is reporting that Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders reject CEO David Zaslav's pay package. Now, here it is. Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders voted on Tuesday to reject the pay packages for several of the company's executives, including CEO David Zaslav's compensation package of more than $50 million. Nearly 60% of the symbolic vote was against the 2024 executive payouts at Warner Brothers Discovery annual meeting. So this was a symbolic vote. It doesn't change anything. He's still going to get the money.
Right.
Last year, shareholders narrowly approved executive pay with 53% voting in favor. Now, 53% is a majority, but that's a very slim majority. Um, so you just pointed out that he's been the CEO since 2022. Warner Brothers Discovery stock declined 7% in 2024, while media competitor Netflix saw its stock gain more than 80% in 2024, and Disney stock rose 24%. So if you look at how much he's being paid, and like you said, the wins, I can't think of any wins besides. Now, I will say this: there have been wins under the company, but those are not wins that he created. If so, if you look at the movie business when it comes to Warner Brothers, the movies that they release, you've got Barbie, you've got Sinners, you've got the Harry Potter games because that's also under the Warner Brothers Discovery. All of those things.
That's a
You
good
got the
point.
Harry Potter.
That's a good point.
So you have things that are good, that are for the company, but they are outshined by day and date release during COVID, which basically doomed your relationship with one of the premier movie directors of our time, Christopher Nolan, who literally said, "I'm out." You pissed off all of your partners because that changed how much money they were going to get at the box office. Um, Coyote versus Acme, shelved. Batgirl, shelved. Um, he has done a lot
Scooby Doo
of
movie
cost.
show.
He's done a lot of cost cutting that worked when it came to reality TV and the streaming and the job that he did over there at Discovery. Some of those things did not translate well, but again, he had a lot of debt from the AT&T spinoff that he had to basically pay down. Those people had to get paid. So I understand. I mean, we knock him, because it's an easy target. It's picking on a rich white man. Um, but there are things that he had to do as a CEO. But some of the decisions that he made are very questionable. When he said that TNT doesn't need the NBA. Well, sucks to be you, dude, because you just found out you do need the NBA.
Yeah, now NBC is getting some NBA games.
Yep.
Which I'm not happy about because that's going to affect my newscasting when I get to go home. But that's first world problems. Like, man, I don't care about the NBA, especially about when it's affecting my newscast.
Especially when you pair the NBA on years that you guys have the Olympics. Oh, those are some hard days. But yeah. So I bring all of this up to say it hasn't happened yet, but you bring up a good point. What are their wins under Zaslav from 2022? Because I can name the failures. I can name the stupid stuff that they have done.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't, like I said, I can only think of a handful of wins. And I'll be honest, some of those wins, I believe, didn't come under him. I think there was the previous regime because Barbie was already a thing before he became the CEO. The Sinners deal, basically, they had to outbid and give Ryan Coogler everything he wanted to get that movie because they had basically nuked all of their other relationships with film studios and other directors. So I can't necessarily give him that win because you were desperate.
Yeah. And I don't know how well you follow wrestling, not in terms of like being on the camera stuff, but behind the scenes stuff with like their deals. So AEW, All Elite Wrestling, currently has a deal with TNT, TBS, and by extension Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yes.
They just redid a deal. Maybe it was announced earlier this year for a nice little chunk of money. People are wondering now with this new split if that means there are going to be cuts or different types of changes to AEW wrestling, which is pretty much the second biggest promotion right behind, well, not right behind, but behind the WWE. It's the second biggest televised wrestling promotion in the United States. But yeah, I mean, it's just so things like that just don't add up as to why this guy still has a job.
So I think part of it is we look at the big losses and the bonehead decisions on the outside looking in. I think what we also have to include in this conversation is, like I said, the debt that they took on when Warner Brothers Discovery spun off. And he has been constantly trying to pare down that debt, trying to make cost saving measures.
Mhm.
And we have talked about this on this channel. We've loved to poke fun at David Zaslav because it's easy, and some of the decisions affects things that we really care about. The the dissolution of the video games from Adult Swim, the getting rid of content, as they like to call it, content of like properties like Final Space, and that did not get a physical release, and the only way you could have seen it was on these streaming platforms. And now the people who created this stuff can't even get the rights back. So if you didn't see the final season of Final Space, you'll never see it unless
Mhm.
something else changes. Getting rid of content that they own right now, two of the biggest shows that HBO did, you can't even watch on their streaming service. One of them being Westworld. The cancellation and not giving them a sixth season, and then basically shipping and allowing that content to be streamed on other platforms kind of made HBO Max irrelevant to own as an exclusive platform, because a lot of stuff that they owned and that they made, you could see eventually on Netflix or other streaming services. So we look at a lot of those moves as being idiotic, stupid, dumb. Um, but he also had a duty to bring this debt down any way he thought possible.
Sure.
And a lot of these executives, they make these decisions, layoffs happen, cost cutting measures happen. You cut back on some of the content that you would have made that you thought, when everybody was cooped up inside, needed to be made. Um, but I'm with you. I don't know why they kept him, but I also wonder if he is wearing thin with a lot of the decisions, and this symbolic vote to me, even though he's still going to get the money, maybe one of those things where the shareholders say, okay, you make this move. This makes the company easier to be bought or merged with somebody like an Apple.
But they've been trying to just piggyback off that. I feel like people have been talking about buying Warner Brothers or parts of Warner Brothers for years. Because I
Yeah,
remember a
but
big thing was them talking about buying the game division, which fell through, whatever that was going to be.
and so here's the thing. I wonder if you're right. They've been talking about it for years, and they've realized no one wants to buy some of these terrestrial cable services. So
Hmm.
one of the other things is, and you brought it up, what is it, Versat? The Comcast spun off television services company that's
Oh
being,
yeah,
so with TNT, TBS, CNN, with those channels being spun off, makes it a more attractive deal for somebody like Versat to buy them, and then maybe Warner Brothers with the streaming service. So right now, so this is the AI overview. Warner Brothers Discovery split into two separate publicly traded companies. One company will focus on streaming, including HBO Max, Warner Brothers Film Studio, and DC Studios. The other will focus on traditional television broadcasting and distribution, including CNN, TNT, and other cable networks. The split is expected to be completed by 2026. Now, I'm interested to see where the gaming division goes, Warner Brothers Games.
hmm
Um, I would assume that that would stay under the umbrella of um, the streaming and studios company. But keep in mind, this also includes comics and book distribution,
oh,
because
with DC and
DC,
stuff.
So like all, I do believe that you have a point, that they've been talking about it for years and they just couldn't get it done with all of these things tied together. So maybe that this move, splitting it into two companies, makes it easier for that a deal like that to happen, for an Apple to buy Warner Brothers, or and I say this, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to see Disney open their wallet. I don't want to
Hmm.
see Netflix buy them. I would like for them to survive so that we could keep getting stories being told, and it doesn't get dissolved into basically three major movie studios and streaming services. Um, but that's just me. But so because I texted you and you were, when this first came out Monday, this news dropped Monday, and I texted, I said, "Did you
Hmm.
see this?" And you were like, "No." So what has been your opinion? then like are you just like this is all intriguing, or you're like
I mean,
they're still stepping on rakes?
I don't know. I won't say this is a rake step yet, right? Just because we don't know what the end result is. Maybe this could be the genius move that finally allows them to make money and sell and do
Mhm.
whatever. I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's just another. And granted, I'm not in their head. Somebody asked them, "Is this a potential thing to sell?" I think they know that it is. I think they do. They just don't want to come out fully say that, and that's fine. Because, like you said,
Yeah.
whether I like him or hate him, his job is to, and I almost liken it to Bobby Kotick, CEO. People don't like him, but he made Activision money.
Ugh.
He are specifically he made
Yeah.
shareholders money. That's so even though gamers didn't like his
Yeah.
decisions, he wasn't going anywhere because he was bringing in money for them. So if
Yes.
Zaslav can do the same thing, they'll keep him around. Um, but I'm not like
No,
such a diehard fan of Warner Brothers franchises or Discovery franchises that I'm like, man, I can't believe these are the things that I needed, and I can't believe this stuff is dying to me. I will say there are some cartoons and legacy stuff that I like. Like I would have been excited to see the Acme movie because I like Looney Tunes.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think that would have been fun to see. And apparently, all the reports were that the movie was really good. So it
Yeah.
sucks that we probably won't be able to see it. Um, if this somehow does work and it allows more stuff to come back, then okay, that'd be cool. But I mean, we won't know for years or months or years down the line if this was a success or not with the splitting of the two companies.
True. I think you bring up Bobby Kotick, and I it made me think of a conversation we had where Bobby Kotick was going to shepherd that Activision deal with Microsoft, and once that deal went through, he was going to fade off into the sunset because Microsoft was like, "We don't need you anymore," because, and it's almost like, "I appreciate you, now get the fuck out," because you have been so toxic and had so many controversies. We don't need you around. Take this buyout package. I wonder if that's the goal for Zaslav. Like, in other words, you have shepherded us through this hard time. We gave you a shot. When this company becomes profitable or merges with somebody else, we are shipping you off. Take your
Hmm.
money and run because you have done on the surface to the layman on the surface nothing good for us.
Right.
Um, but it could be, and here's another thing too. We don't know what conversations are had with people behind closed doors. It could be a situation where they were like, "Look, if you when you take this job, it is an uphill climb," and they could, the powers that be could have actually met with him, and people have said, the board could have met with him and said, "Hey, man, look, this is going to be hard. You are going to be lambasted in the press, the decisions you make, but you need to bring costs down. And you're being paid an awful lot of money to take slings and arrows in the press to do the job of a CEO." And
Hmm.
that could be something, or it could just be he is a major moron who just kept failing up because he did a good job over here on some in the reality world of keeping costs down because reality television is cheap. You don't have to pay these people a lot of money. Most of your money comes from production. So I don't know. I am interested to see how this shakes out because I'm interested to see does Warner Brothers, because right now they're doing fairly well at the box office as far as like Sinners has Sinners has made people forget about the missteps of HBO Max to HBO Go, HBO Max, the just calling it Max. Like we
Hmm.
remember it, but like perfect example, my in-laws probably don't remember all of this, you know, like that barometer of like my wife doesn't pay attention to that, but like my son knows it's called Max. He
Right.
knows the app is called Max. When it comes back, when it goes back to HBO Max, he's going to be like, huh, he's still going to see Max. So like the barometer of does the average person notice how bad he is messing up? I don't know. But I am interested to see how these new deals and these new shows go. Um, if you look at HBO itself and their original programming, they're killing the game. hats off to the actual people and executives actually making the television shows like White Lotus, Hacks, um, The Last of Us, you know, getting the deal with Saffron and James Gunn. Every people are excited about Superman in the DCEU.
Hmm.
When we saw the casting of Green Lantern, people were excited. Um, Now, granted, people had some things to say about some of the other shows. John Oliver has gone after Warner Brothers Discovery about some of the decisions that they made, about the archives of his show, where drop the they would drop the episode of his show streaming on YouTube, and he has actually taken shots at his parent company. So it it remains to be seen how this all shakes out, and if the creatives stay and still want to work with this company going forward, because that's what's going to make or break the company. If you can still sign deals with people, directors and producers, to make things that people want to watch exclusively on your streaming services. We have talked about this at length, ad nauseum for some people, how much I wanted to get rid of HBO Max because of that price increase. Because I was like, there was nothing that made me want to stay. And then they were able to keep me with some of the movies and television shows like a Sesame Street,
Sure.
like The Last of Us. But Sesame Street is now going to Netflix. You've lost the NBA. You're now going to split up. And no longer, I'm not going to be able to watch streaming basketballs channels on my HBO Max app. So it's going to be interesting in 2 or 3 years how this all shakes out.
Hmm.
So that's enough about Warner Brothers Discovery stepping on rakes. Um, we're about to hit the halfway mark. So like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think about this deal. Um, I'll definitely be talking about it because this stuff is interesting to me, to seeing how these services actually work and the actual minutia behind these media companies. But let's talk about the Summer Gaming Fest. You,
Sure.
Me, and you talked about it, that it was happening. I watched it after the fact, and I remember texting you and Avery. I thought it was amazing, just overall. And you said you liked the state of play more so than Summer Gaming Fest.
Yeah, and having seen that and also seen the Xbox showcase,
Mhm.
I think the specific PlayStation conference and the Xbox conference, I don't know if it was the pacing or the games that were shown, but I liked those more than Summer Game Fest this year in particular.
Okay.
Not saying that's how it is every year. I just think they both had focuses. The
Hmm.
specific platform holders between Sony and Microsoft, they had specific focuses on what they were trying to do, and I just
Okay.
liked the theme of what they were doing. Summer Game Fest, I thought was fine. I thought it was long,
About 3 hours.
and yeah, it's interesting because he Jeff Keighley is trying to cover so much stuff. Sometimes there are games that are really there as commercials to help pay for everything else, and they
Yes.
have to be there because he needs them to help pay for everything else.
Yeah.
It's kind of a symptom of the business. I get it, but it still does kind of kill the mood. Like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. Oh, now we're in like the commercial phase of it. I
Yeah.
felt like there was a lot of that this year compared to maybe other years.
What's just some of the games you felt like that?
Probably anything with the gotcha stuff, the stuff that looks like the Honkai Star Rail game and whatever
What?
the Hoyoverse stuff.
Okay.
A lot of that stuff, like the Japanese stuff, the stuff that kind of has like a Breath of the Wild style look, but is more of like a microtransaction. Here's a new character. Here's a new character. That kind of stuff. There was a couple of points where that happened.
Hmm.
I thought Resident Evil 9 looked cool. I won't
Hmm.
play it, but I liked it was cool, and I liked the. I don't. You said you saw the whole Summer Game Fest, right?
I hadn't seen all of it. Like, it's been playing in the
Uh,
background. Like, it's playing in the background right now. I
okay.
haven't had like.
The way they did that was cool because throughout the whole 3 hour presentation, I think there were three separate Capcom Resident Evil things. So they did two things at once, and you're like, oh, is this it? And they saved the Resident Evil 9 to the very end. And
Yeah.
the way Jeff introduced it, you didn't necessarily know it was Capcom. So it was an interesting way to finally reveal Resident Evil 9. Of course, people thought it was going to be there, so some people knew it. And then
Yeah.
if you know the Resident Evil engine, you're like, oh, this looks like Resident Evil characters,
The
but it was
hair.
still
The
yeah,
hair. A lot of people say the hair gives it away.
but it was still a cool reveal, and I like the idea of this character Grace. I think her name is something Ashcroft.
Yeah.
We finally found
Mhm.
out from Resident Evil Outbreak. If we don't know what the full game is, but if you're able to walk around Raccoon City in an open world style, that's something new.
Yeah. Um, Personally, I think I liked Summer Game Fest more so than you did, only because I am in awe of what Jeff Keighley's been able to pull off
Mhm.
when everybody else seems to be trying to figure out how to navigate this new reality. We've lost E3. Um, E3 is to be, I don't want to say officially dead, but it's it's in a coma. It's like I know they're not coming back anytime soon. And Jeff Keighley has seemed to be able to pull off some things that even Microsoft or a PlayStation or Sony hasn't been able to pull off. I thought starting the show off with Mortal Shell 2 was different. It's like, don't get me wrong, I am amazed by that game. I am impressed with the graphics, the way that looks, the character design. I'm never playing it, but
Yeah.
the characters and the nightmares that have come to life that is Mortal Shell 2, I thought was amazing. I'm not a Fortnite fan. I don't play it, but I thought that's a big get. Um,
Yeah, okay. The last thing from E3, the Twitter account, December 12th, 2023. After more than 2 decades of E3, each one bigger than the last, the time has come to say goodbye. So yeah, they did.
yeah. So I thought getting Hideo Kojima to be there when he wasn't there at Sony, because we talked about this. I thought we were going to get more Death Stranding, and we didn't. We just got like, it's coming. And then
Mhm.
you turn on the Summer Game Fest and Hideo Kojima's there, like, I got a couple of videos, bro. And I think that to me is an amazing pull to not only have Hideo Kojima there to talk about the game, but also to turn around and have him preview some videos at your event
Mhm.
that the game the console is coming on isn't even going to have. So I thought that was I like stuff like that. Um, Now, with that being said, you're right. It is long. I wonder if it would be. I wonder if, but again, he's turning Summer Game Fest into an event that you have to be there for.
Mhm.
Like he's trying to turn this into a community of like developers, publishers, game designers, and gamers, and people actually being together in this moment to celebrate gaming. You can nitpick about certain things that Jeff Keighley could do and do better, but it's like when he's standing on the stage and he comes back from a game and he's talking about it, he's doing this live. And I don't know what studio or what auditorium they rent out, but it's a big event. And I think that's a different event than, say, a state of play or a showcase where it can be more focused, it's more edited, more controlled. Um, so I love the production part of like pulling that together. So I think that's why I like them more. Because
Okay.
it's easy to just edit some videos and shoot some stuff, and then it's controlled, it's curated. But here you're going for the energy of video games. You're going for the energy of this live event. Um,
Mhm.
what shocked you that was there at Summer Game Fest?
Mm,
Because for me, I was shocked to see Death Stranding.
I mean, I wasn't, only
Interesting.
because like we know Jeff Keighley is the biggest of fanboys, and no disrespect to him, the biggest of fanboys to Hideo Kojima. I mean, if anything, Hideo Kojima appears more on Jeff Keighley's stuff than he does for Sony, honestly.
That is true. Yeah, now you think about it.
So
Yeah.
I mean, so that didn't shock me too much. I think it was cool that he's able to have that relationship with him to get him to bring stuff like that. I wish he was able to parlay that into other big developers too, because I feel like it does focus on, and he does have other people, but I feel like it really does focus on Hideo Kojima. Now, thinking as I talk this out loud, he is probably one of the bigger names and more well-known people in the industry, so he does kind of stand out. I mean, I'm trying to think of somebody else who would be like on the same level of people that would be like, oh yeah, people, I know who this person is. I don't know. I can't think of anybody at the.
I would say the guy who does they always do 2-person games. They do the Army of.
Oh yeah. Hazelight, I think is the name of the Hazelight Studios.
He's a little more volatile.
Something Fairs. I can't remember his first name.
I was going to say
Joseph Fares. Joseph Fares.
The Final Fantasy art director. I'm trying to remember his name is, but there's a couple of people who are popular, but not as. You're right, Hideo Kojima. That's a name that is crossed. Older gamers and younger gamers know. So yeah, I would like to see. You know what I think the Summer Game Fest can do?
What's that?
I think it can elevate people to maybe not the Kojima level, but I do believe it can elevate maybe some of these creators and designers a little more, if that makes sense. So there's a woman, I'm trying to remember what her name is. So I play Warframe. She's not the CEO. I'm trying to remember what her name is. She had a very she had a dress on, and we talked about it, and you were like, who is that? And I was like, oh, that's so-and-so. She's always on the dev streams for Warframe. I cannot remember her name, and I apologize, but I think they have the opportunity to elevate people by having them come regularly.
Rebecca Ford?
Yes.
Okay. The new creative director of Warframe?
Yes.
Okay.
Good pull, man. That's why I keep you around. So I think having more people like that who are engaging, having more people on these platforms, I think that can help the gaming industry so that it isn't just a handful of people. I liken it to, let's take the NFL, the NBA, or any type of sports league. Having only a handful of people who are popular in your sport does not help your sport. You need the pretty boy. You need the face of the league. You need the enforcers. You need the bad boys. You need all of these different people because that's what makes your league compelling. If you look at right now what's going on with the WNBA with Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson, Brittany Griner, Angel Reese, you have all these different people. That makes your league compelling. I think if you have a lot of these different personalities who design these different games, I think getting George R.R. Martin and having something like a Night Rain, Elden Ring. Who's the guy behind who worked on those games, the Dark Souls games? The creator.
I don't know his name, but
I guess having more of those people, I think, helps video gaming as a whole and pushes the genre and the medium forward.
Let's see. Since you brought him up, Hidetaka Miyazaki.
Yeah,
maybe that's how you pronounce that name. I don't know.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I think getting more people, and we talked about this before. Jeff definitely wants to, which I think is great, get more people into video games and make it.
Yes.
Whenever he does things like the video game awards, he wants it to be the Oscars. He wants it to be that big,
Mhm.
and so you have to make these personalities bigger than life, um, which can be tough because a lot of times some of these people don't necessarily have the charisma for that.
That is
They
true.
have the brain to make the game, but they may not be
Yeah.
charismatic to that you want to listen to them or whatever.
And not
So
only
you have
that,
to find those right people.
and the crossover is you may not, so you may have the people who you have the stars who come. So like we always talk about this. Sorry, there's a game playing right now from Summer Game Fest, and I missed this one, and I am very intrigued by it, and I want to play it. When the title comes up, I'll end of Abyss. Um, we talk about this all the time. When Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez came to the Game Awards,
When she said to Ken, yeah,
you can have the stars come, Al Pacino, but if you don't have people who can cross both worlds, who can say the games correctly, have the energy, and have an attachment to gaming, it falls short and it sounds like they just got a paycheck. Getting
mhm,
somebody like Simu Liu there, I thought was very good because it felt like he was very engaging. I'd like to see more people like that, this
mhm.
crossover. So maybe you pair like a Simu Liu with like a George R. R. Martin, even though Simu was highlighting the game he was a part of, I think getting some of those people in these events will help gaming. Maybe I don't want to say cross like Troy Baker. That's somebody like having when Last of Us was in its heyday, having Troy Baker out there, getting Pedro Pascal. I think that's a big get, and I think that's something that we need to embrace, regardless of whether you like the game or not. Now, personally, I love those games. But I think that's the kind of stuff that we need to see more of. And I applaud Jeff Keighley for trying it and
Sure.
swinging for the fences. Because you know me, I love a person who swings for the fences and misses. Because at least you're trying.
Hmm.
Don't be stagnant.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I just want to highlight the overall direction for the Sony State of Play, and we talked about this before when we did last week's our last tape press play. But
yeah.
of all the stuff that I saw, the biggest thing that I was really excited about was Marvel Token
Yes.
Fighting Souls. Um, it's not Marvel vs. Capcom 4, but it's giving that the vibes of that. It's 4v4 fighting. That game looks incredible. That stuck out to me. And then during the Xbox showcase, there's a game called There Are No Ghosts at the Grand, which looks to be part hotel simulator, part crime
Mhm.
stuff that you're doing. I don't know. It looks great. There's singing involved in it. I'm excited about that. That's
Man,
2026. I don't know if it's coming anywhere else, but that looks
you and
cool.
this goddamn singing. Ugh, whew. um,
Yeah.
now, I will say this. I want to bring this up only because it's on screen. And you and I differ about the last season of Game of Thrones, but the Game of Thrones game was showcased heavily.
We differ. You liked it?
I liked the last season of Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm on record of saying I think I'm on record of saying everybody is it has its problems, but and there's some things nitpick things that I agree with, but I personally liked the last season. I know a lot of people panned it and were not fans, but the Game of Thrones video game we saw. I know it's a CGI trailer, but I was impressed with this game and the presentation. I was like, it made me want to play this game.
Hmm.
Um, Now, with that being said,
Is it an
I'm
RTS? What type of game is it?
uh, that's funny because as I watched the trailer, I do not know. I believe
See, that's why I don't know
it's
what this
it is
game
a real
is.
time strategy game. Yeah, real time
Okay,
strategy.
I was like, okay.
But it made me want to play it.
Mhm.
But with that being said, I want to. Only reason why I brought that up because I want to get back to something you said when you talked about you watched the Xbox showcase and you love the way they went.
Mhm.
What did you think about the showcase?
The Xbox Showcase.
Yeah, like were you
I enjoyed
like?
it. There were games like, oh, I would play this. I'd play this. I'd play this. And I think because both the state of play and showcase were essentially an hour,
Mhm.
there is less room compared to 3 hours for me to pick whatever. So if I
Yeah,
like 6 games out of the showcase, that was only an hour. The hit rate seems to be higher to me than the 6 games out of 3 hours.
yeah.
Um,
So
yeah.
so I am I like the Xbox Showcase. I really did. Now the thing that I got, we can talk about a lot of things. I think personally, I think their showcase was amazing. However, I think it has to be because they are always behind the eight ball. And my big thing, and I remember texting you guys about it, was this Xbox handheld. Personally, I love the idea of Gears of War Reloaded. I will get that game. The like when I saw what that was,
Hmm.
sign me up. Like I was like, that's my wheelhouse. Um, that's one of the games I bought an Xbox 360 for. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm definitely one of the people who are going to get that game. I was initially high on this handheld, the Asus ROG. Um,
Hmm.
the more I think about it and the more I watch about it, the more I'm like, give me a Steam Deck too.
Why is that?
I'm looking at price. I'm looking at price and I'm looking at it as it is. It is a Windows gaming PC,
Hmm.
which I think is cool. But I'm also looking at it and saying, I wanted an Xbox made handheld that would play the entire library of Xbox games. And this is a PC handheld that is not going to do that.
Does it
So
not play all Xbox games?
no, it doesn't.
What doesn't it play?
It doesn't. So it only plays the Xbox games that have a PC port that were optimized for PC. And that's the thing I think a lot of people don't realize. The Xbox handheld, the handheld is still an Asus PC gaming device. Now, there's a lot of things that it's Xbox branded. It's going to have the controllers, like you said, but it is still limited in the fact that it will not be backwards compatible and play every Xbox game that they have in their library. And I think that to me, for the price that I think this thing is going to cost. So I think the base model is going to be around. Hold on. What do you think the price is going to be?
Uh, if the Switch 2 is 450, I would say this could cost. So we're talking about the one with like the cheaper version.
I
I'd say
think
the cheaper
both of
version
them. Mhm.
might be. I'm going to say 400,
Mm.
and I'm going to say actually no, because it's probably still more powerful. I'm going to say yeah. I'll say it costs the same as a Switch too. I'll say that the cheap version is 450, and the premium edition with all the extra bells and whistles is gonna be 600. Yeah, that's what I'll say.
Interesting. Okay.
What are your prices?
I think so. Right now, if you go to Best Buy and you type in and you look up Asus ROG Ally 7, 120 hertz, 1080, AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor, 24 gigs, 1 terabyte SSD. That's $900.
Oh, dang! See, I don't know my prices then. All right.
So I bring that up to say, I think you are, no disrespect, I think you're naive in this pricing that that's what it's going to
Sure.
cost. I'm looking at it and saying The base ROG is going to be 600.
Hmm.
And I think the higher version is going to be at least 800.
Where do you remember what you paid for your Steam Deck? 'Cause I don't remember what I paid for mine.
6.
Was
I
it?
think
Okay.
I think it was either 5 or 6.
Okay.
And see, and so that's why I bring up. So like right now, the ROG 7-inch 512 Windows is 649. Now,
Hmm.
the reason why I bring up those prices is because Xbox raised the price of their consoles recently,
Mhm.
and I don't see I don't see Asus selling these at cost because they got to make a profit. So I'm that, and I was on board with an Xbox handheld. If Xbox made it, it was able to play every Xbox game, and it might be able to through cloud streaming. I wanted something that allowed you to the kicker that I do like is the idea that they're going to be able to allow you to have launchers for
Mhm.
other. So you're going to be able to play your Steam library. You're going to be able to play your Epic, and if they can make that work seamlessly, this is a game changer. But I'm looking at this price and this with the Steam Deck 2 on the horizon, with the Switch 2 right out now. I wanted more, and that just could be me being greedy, but I did. I wanted more, and I'm a little. I'm optimistic, but you need to consider this price is going to be detrimental to this thing taking off.
Yeah, but what is the most expensive handheld PC right now? Do you know?
Uh,
Is it
let's
that
look
nine
it up.
hundred dollar thing you said?
The Asus ROG Ally X. Let's ask. Mm, mm. So right now, the looks like One Player X Pro handheld, and so PC Gamer did an article in May 15th. Um, let's see what they got. Best handheld gaming PC in 2025. So according to them, this is the best. Um, One is the Asus ROG Ally X. Two is a Steam Deck, and three is the MSI Claw 8. Four is Lenovo Legion Go, and the Ioneo Flip DS. Um, so right now, the ROG Asus we just talked about, that's about $900. Steam Deck comes in three different versions. They just released the OLED recently. Um, the MSI Claw 8 also runs off Windows. Now, keep in mind, the Windows that we're going to get on this Asus is a scaled down that doesn't have all the system resources as a desktop PC, but a gaming PC. But
Mhm.
that price is what is going to be the sticking point, and I do not see Microsoft selling that thing at a cost with backing, with Asus backing, selling at cost with Microsoft's backing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to know what the most expensive one on the market is, just as an idea. Like, is it 1,200? Is it $1,300? I don't know.
$1,800, $900 on Amazon. The X1 Pro handheld PC with AMD Ryzen AI 9HX 370, a 10-inch screen, 120 megahertz, 2K touchscreen, 64 gig RAM, and 4 terabyte SSD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um. Yeah. Even and I said it in the last chat. I still For anybody keeping track, I still haven't opened my Switch 2 yet. Still in the box. I just wanted to have it because I wanted to have it. This Xbox Portable is something I want even less. Like I definitely don't care about that because I have the ability to play Xbox. Yeah, I don't care about an Xbox handheld. I don't need multiple handhelds.
But see, I guess go ahead because
Well, no, I'm just saying. I mean, I have the ability to play Xbox games on my Xbox. I don't need a handheld for it. One of the reasons I got the Switch 2 was knowing eventually I would get Switch 2 games that'll be there that I wanted to play.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting you say that because I don't have any of the newest Xbox consoles. I am intrigued to buy this, but I am intrigued. I would like to see if there was a dock to basically turn this into an Xbox console.
Mm-hmm.
Like that to me is very intriguing, and that's something I would love to have. And that's why I wanted this because I wanted this to come in lower than a regular Xbox console. Because to me,
hey man, get you that base ROG. You're gonna be fine.
I'm not gonna lie, I did consider it because I looked at the Switch 2. Me and you, we talked about it. We talked about the last one. If I got one, it really is only for my wife. And if I had the money, I would buy both the Switch 2 and an Xbox. The Xbox Ally ROG.
Mm-hmm.
I'd buy both. But if I had to choose between the two, I would also buy a Switch 2. I would just buy a console. So I guess that's where I am with this. Even though I do want it, but I will say this: if it was a straight just Xbox console, I would be more inclined to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. What stood out to you as far as like the Xbox games that you saw that you were like, yeah, okay, I'm in.
I thought Grounded 2 looked interesting. The Clockwork Revolution game, what is it called? Is it called Clockwork Revolution?
Is it Revolution or Exploration?
Clockwork Revolution, yeah, that looks interesting. The singing game I was talking about, and I say singing, it's only one person singing. I don't know that you actually sing in the game, but I thought that was interesting. The Ghost at the Strand looks good. Outer Worlds 2 looks good.
Now, here's a question. Is that day and date on Game Pass?
Of course it is.
Okay, only reason why I bring it up, that's $80.
Because that's what that's what Xbox does. They're smart. They're like, hey, you don't want to spend $80? Get this Game Pass. All these games are gonna be day and date on Game Pass.
And so we talked about this, what games were going to be $80 and what games. And I think what's interesting is Gearbox got a lot of heat for their CEO putting his foot in his mouth. Deservedly so. I wonder how these sales for an Outer Worlds 2 is going to be, considering that game comes in at $80. I liked Outer Worlds 2. I really did. I thought
Outer Worlds 1 or
1. Thank you. I enjoyed that game. I thought the character designs, the humor was great. I'm not paying $80 for an Outer Worlds 2. Now, this is where that whole, like you said, Game Pass, forcing people into Game Pass comes into play, because I'm not paying $80 for that. I'm just not. And I can tell you right now, there's only a handful of games I'd even consider playing $80 for. And that ain't one of them. So, and I'm going to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you any game in the Xbox arsenal that I'd pay $80 for.
I thought you were just talking about Gears of War.
I would, but I wouldn't pay $80 for it.
Okay.
Not for a
I mean, is that also because that you're not in the Xbox ecosystem now?
No, that's just I'm just not paying $80. There are there are a handful of games that I'd pay $80 for. Naughty Dog Last of Us 3. I'd pay $80 for that. A brand new Metal Gear Solid game from Hideo Kojima. I'd pay $80 for that. I think that's it. This is like I'm not pay, like $80 is a lot of money for a video game, and I am not there yet to where, with all the responsibilities that I have, that I'm willing to pay $80 for something. I'm just not there yet. There. I'm willing to pay 70. I'll pay 70 for Ghost of Yote. I'll pay $70 for Death Stranding 2. I'll pay. I'm going to buy that Gears of War game for the PlayStation. But there's only a hint. I'm willing to pay $70 for whatever Naughty Dog, The Heretic Prophecy, whatever that game is. I'll pay $70 for that. I'll take a shot on that. But there's very few games that I'm willing to drop 70 on, much less 84.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, it's what we talked about, like either, and that's probably the consensus of a lot of people. But I mean, it's either pay or don't play. So I mean, that's fine. You just wait till the game goes on sale. Well, I mean, the market will kind of level itself out, right? Either people will pay $80 for these games and they'll make money, or they won't. And they have to drop the price on stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the market says, what the market dictates, if people will buy it or not. And of course, the big canary in the coal mine, or not even the canary in the coal mine, the big one everybody wants to see is what will be the final retail price for Grand Theft Auto 6.
Whew. What do you think it's going to be?
I'm gonna say $80.
Really?
Yeah, why not? Let's be optimistic. The world's gonna end tomorrow. If we make it past tomorrow, it'll be $80 next year.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, if this went up, the world would have already ended when this goes up. When all the protests happen and the military parade happens.
Nah, I think we'll be in the Hunger Games stage, like martial law, districts,
Sure.
choose your fighter. May the odds be in your favor. I just checked my email and I got the email for Death Stranding 2's console controller, and I'm like,
you were excited about that, weren't you?
I am, and so that's why I said I'm not willing to pay $80 for a game, but I will pay $60 to $70 for this controller. Like
Okay.
like it's black, it's beautiful, and I guess that's, I don't want to say it's hypocritical, but that is one of those things that is like, it's your personal preference. What franchise are you like in love with? What franchise are you like? That's my franchise. For some people, it is. They just came out with the last game, Monster Hunter. For some people, it's Monster Hunter. For some people, you talked about Final Fantasy. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not playing Final Fantasy VII like that. But if they said Final Fantasy VII was $80, I could understand why. Like, there are certain games I can understand why you're paying that type of money for. There are franchises that people who are beloved followers who are like, that is my game. That is my jam. Direct that into my veins. And I get that. For me, I have certain franchises that I'm like, I play, I love. I'd be interested in a $70 Days Gone 2. I would be. I'd be interested in a $70 Uncharted.
You ain't never getting a second Days Gone.
Oh no, we're never getting that. Like, my kids will be in college before that happens.
Yeah.
And my kids are 5 and 3. So I say that all that to say we're wrapping this up because we've been going for about an hour. I liked Summer Game Fest. I really thought they did a very good mix of blockbuster games like Atomic Heart 2 to unknown things like Arc Raiders. You talked about Resident Evil to what is it, Mio, Mio? these little indie games. Um, I thought what was really cool was in the Xbox presentation of that handheld, we got Silk Song. We got a release date. Like if you watch that
I mean,
presentation,
no, we got a release window. We still don't have a date.
we got a window, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm all for this last weekend of gaming. I
Mhm.
thought that was um
If this is the new E3, bring it on.
yeah, I really was. Before we go, what did you think about the game from Epic that had the like co-op um hand drawn like the puppets?
Oh, you made with the Unreal Engine?
Yes.
That looked cool. Yeah, you talking about with like the felt Muppets that look like the
Mhm.
puppet? Yeah, that the boxing game. I
Yeah,
think that is incredible that
no,
that
not
was
the
made.
boxing game, the one that looked like Caroline.
Oh, eh,
Yeah. Really?
I mean it's cool, but I like the one that the game that was shown before that the
I know
puppets
that.
boxing
I
game.
see. I
That was
saw that. I'm
ridiculous.
out of words. That was like, see, that's why I said I love the Summer Game Fest because there were so many different things that you could get that picture. Like out of words was just like mind blowing animation style for me. I know the
Mhm.
boxing game you're talking about. I was like, eh. And so that's why I love the Summer Game Fest because there's something for everyone. Whatever
Sure,
your taste is, there's something for you.
indeed. With that, folks, let's wrap it up.
So, Michael, what got you through the week, sir? As the world ends and as this goes up, the No King Day, the No King
No King's Day.
protests, No
Yeah, yeah.
King's Day protests will happen.
Hmm.
California will have seceded.
Hmm.
Um, there'll be blue states and red states, and we'll all have to carry ID cards to get to traverse between states. So, what's going to get you through the week, or what got you through the week as you prepare for
Honestly,
this,
I
as well?
am.
Buy beans and tuna and hunker
I
down.
am. I am looking forward to doing some cleaning around my house.
Hmm.
Um, Wendy wants so we bought a bike off of MacBids
MacBiz, yeah.
that
I'm
we
still
set up
laughing at that part, by
together.
the way.
Oh yeah, sorry, we bought a second bike.
Oh,
Yes, we bought an actual adult
oh,
bike
so,
this time.
so you didn't learn. Okay, I understand.
Well, I mean, we've seen this one. We have it. It is an adult bike. It just needs to be put together.
Okay.
Um, but I wanted to do some cleaning up off of my back porch so we could put it there to move some stuff around. So we're going to do that Saturday. Probably clean up this room a little bit and rearrange some stuff, and that will hopefully let me open up my Switch 2. And I bought a PS5 Pro because it was part of the PlayStation Sony, whatever the week where they do discounts.
Yeah.
So I bought that. So I'll put that in there. I got the extra hard drive in there. I put that in there. I got the disc. I'll do all that stuff. So I'm excited about doing a little bit of cleaning up and putting that stuff together this weekend. And hopefully I
Cool.
want to go in. I won't be called in to when this goes up. I would not have been called in to go into work. So yeah.
Hey, man, keep your ID on you.
Yeah, great. What got you through the week?
So the Final Shape was one of the free games on the PlayStation Plus,
I
and
downloaded that.
I downloaded that, and I have Destiny 2, and I got away from it for a while, and I was playing Warframe, um, and I really enjoyed Warframe, but I it got to a point where I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Hmm.
And I was just like, I love the game, I enjoyed it, but it got to be a lot. And when this game came on, I was like, let me download it, let me see what it's all about. And Destiny is a lot, I will admit. I can see where they took a lot of inspirations from a lot of other live services games, like a Warframe, but it's like getting back into a friendship or relationship that whole idea of getting back on a bike is like riding a bike. It really the feedback, and I've really been enjoying it. And so I've been playing that. There's a lot of DLC that they have, a lot of challenges. So I've gotten back into that and comics, man. I haven't been really watching a lot of stuff. Rick and Morty is back, so that's every Sunday. That's been cool. But I
Hmm.
haven't been. I have been reading more, uh, listening to more podcasts, and I've tried to stay away from like political stuff because I get enough of it.
At work?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but like reading comics and really excited about the direction. So like, oh, I wish I had it right here. So Christopher Priest is back writing Black Panther again. He wrote Black Panther. He's the creator of the Dora Milaje, Everett K. Ross character, you know, a lot of different things that were inspirations for the movies. Now, I've been reading his omnibus from that time period. Ooh, it's some tough sledding. Like,
Mhm.
there's some good things and there's some things you're like, ooh, that's a lot. So I say that to say he's come back to the character, and I suggest you go pick up that issue. Christopher Priest is back writing Black Panther. Marvel Knights Imprint is back. Go pick up that issue and look at the last page. Don't look at the internet. Just read it for yourself. Aliens versus Marvel is Aliens versus the Avengers. The final issue is coming out. One World Doom. One World Under Doom. Absolute Batman. Absolute Superman. Absolute Wonder Woman. There's a lot of great books out there. So comics, I really wish you read more comics. I mean, I wish you could read in general, but you know, comics, I'll take that.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what's been getting me through the week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Folks, that'll be it for us. We may be live the next week. Who knows? Leroy's kids will dictate whether or not we can be live.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Until then, you know where to find us. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell so you know when we put up more videos. And we're out. Peace.
Peace.